For 8 years, Emily and I were the couple everyone envied. The picture of stability and commitment. I'm 33, she's 31, and we met in college, falling in love during a time when the future seemed bright and limitless. We got married right after graduation, and I thought I knew her better than anyone. That's probably why the betrayal hit me like a freight train. We'd agreed to wait on having kids until the time felt right, until we were financially and emotionally ready. The years went by, and there was always a reason to postpone. Careers, saving for a house, and waiting for that elusive perfect moment. I trusted her completely. She was on birth control. We were on the same page. Or so I thought. The first lie. A few months ago, Emily casually announced over breakfast, "I'm pregnant." Just like that. As though she were telling me the weather. I froze, my fork hovering midair. "I thought you were on the pill," I managed to say. She barely glanced at me, her tone disturbingly flat. Guess it failed. Something in her detached demeanor didn't sit right with me. I tried to brush it off, telling myself I was being paranoid, but the nagging doubt wouldn't go away. A week later, when she was in the shower, I did something I'd never done in our marriage. I looked through her phone. The affair exposed. I found a message thread with a man named Adam, a co-worker. The texts were damning. "Can't wait until this baby is here and we don't have to hide anymore. And do you think he'll ever figure it out?" My blood ran cold. It wasn't just an affair. She was carrying his child and had lied to me about birth control to cover it up. My entire world shattered in that moment. I sat there, staring at her phone, my chest heavy with betrayal and disbelief. But I didn't confront her, not yet. I needed a plan, the quiet gathering of evidence. The next day, I contacted a lawyer. He advised me to stay quiet and gather as much evidence as possible. For weeks, I lived under the same roof with Emily, pretending everything was normal. She smiled at me, played the role of the loving wife, but I saw her for who she really was. Her entitlement, meanwhile, spiraled out of control. She began bleeding our shared savings dry, spending thousands on gifts for her friends and frivolous items. When I questioned her, she waved me off saying, "It's not a big deal. My friends expect me to show up for them." When she demanded I take time off work to run errands for her friends, I drew the line. "If they need rides, they can call an Uber," I said. She sulked, calling me selfish, but I refused to be manipulated. Then came the baby shower. Emily insisted on an extravagant event with a rented venue, catering, and elaborate decorations. When I suggested something modest, she sneered, "The father of my child should want to make me feel special." The perfect moment. I knew I couldn't keep up the charade much longer. When Emily's mom called to say she was throwing a surprise baby shower, I realized it was the perfect opportunity. With my lawyer's help, I prepared the divorce papers. The day of the shower arrived. The room was buzzing with excitement. Friends and family gathered to celebrate. Emily was radiant, playing the part of the glowing mother-to-be. Her mom had gone all out, transforming the community center into a pastel wonderland. As the event reached its peak, I signaled the server holding the divorce papers. He walked over to Emily, who looked confused as she accepted the envelope. Her confusion quickly turned to horror as she opened it and realized what was happening. The room fell silent. I stepped forward, my voice steady but loud enough for everyone to hear. "I wanted you all to know the truth," I said, locking eyes with her. "This marriage is over. Emily has been lying to everyone here, including me. That child isn't mine." The aftermath. Gasps and murmurs rippled through the room as Emily stood there, pale and speechless. I turned and walked out, leaving her to face the fallout of her actions. It wasn't just about exposing her lies. It was about reclaiming my dignity and making sure she faced the consequences of her betrayal. In the end, I didn't just lose a wife. I lost the illusion of the life I thought I had. But I gained something more valuable: freedom and the chance to rebuild my life, this time on my terms. "Emily, I think it's time everyone knew the truth." The room went quiet. People exchanged uneasy glances, their whispers falling into an expectant hush. Emily's face paled as I stood there, determined to finish what I'd started. Her hand reached out, a silent plea for me to stop, but I wasn't about to let her interrupt. This had to be said. I laid it all bare. The affair, the pregnancy, the lies about birth control. Every deceit she'd woven was now unraveling before the stunned faces of our friends and family. Emily stammered excuses, her voice trembling with desperation. But I didn't falter. Finally, I handed her the divorce papers. "I'm filing for divorce, and I want nothing to do with this," I said, my tone unwavering. Tears streamed down her face as she collapsed into sobs. Some people rushed to comfort her, while others stared at me in disbelief, their expressions a mix of shock and judgment. But I didn't care. For the first time in years, I felt unburdened, free of the web of lies that had suffocated me. After the baby's shower, the chaos escalated. Emily refused to accept reality, clinging to her entitlement with a ferocity I hadn't anticipated. The first battle came over finances. "You owe me at least this much," she insisted, demanding I continue paying for her car and other expenses. "I'm pregnant and about to be a single mother." I didn't flinch. "I don't owe you anything. Figure it out with Adam," I replied curtly, cutting her off from our joint accounts and transferring any remaining bills into her name. Her fury was immediate. Angry texts and voicemails flooded my phone, accusing me of abandonment. But I was done being her safety net. Next, she came for Max, our dog, my dog. Max had been my companion long before Emily entered my life. I walked him, fed him, paid for his vet care. Yet now, she was adamant she deserved to keep him. "You're leaving me alone. I need someone to keep me company," she argued. But I stood my ground. Max wasn't just a dog. He was family, and I wasn't about to let her take him away. When she threatened to take the matter to court, I prepared for battle, gathering every photo, receipt, and vet record I had. Eventually, she backed down, realizing she wouldn't win. But the demands didn't stop there. The final straw was her insistence on a public apology. She claimed I'd humiliated her at the baby shower and demanded I post something online to clear her name. "You lied, cheated, and tried to trap me with someone else's child," I told her bluntly. "I don't owe you an apology." Her retaliation was predictable. She spun a web of lies to our mutual friends, painting herself as the victim of an overbearing husband. But I'd already shared the truth with those closest to me. Her attempts to rewrite history only solidified my resolve. The divorce proceedings were grueling. Emily demanded alimony, the house, even money for baby expenses. She played the single mother card at every opportunity, but my lawyer and I stood firm. In the end, she walked away with the bare minimum: some furniture, her clothes, and a harsh dose of reality. I kept the house, the savings, and most importantly, my peace of mind. Living alone in the house was strange at first. The once shared space felt heavy with memories, but I quickly began reclaiming it as my own. I painted walls, rearranged furniture, and replaced everything that reminded me of her. Slowly, the house transformed from a symbol of our failed marriage into my sanctuary. Max and I fell into a new rhythm: long walks, quiet evenings, and a renewed focus on what truly mattered. I reconnected with friends and family, people who genuinely cared about me. For too long, I'd isolated myself, bending over backward to appease someone who only took and never gave. About a month after the divorce was finalized, my phone buzzed with a call from an unfamiliar number. Against my better judgment, I answered. It was Emily. Her voice was shaky, almost desperate. She wanted to talk, to meet up. "I missed the stability we had," she confessed. I didn't realize how hard it would be to do this alone. I didn't hold back. "Why don't you ask Adam?" Silence. Then, in a whisper, she admitted, "He's gone." The moment he realized I wouldn't have the financial support I was used to, he left. I felt no sympathy. "You made your choices, Emily," I said, my tone calm but firm. I'm not your safety net anymore. She tried to cry, to guilt-trip me, but I'd heard it all before. I hung up, letting her deal with the consequences of her own actions. In the weeks that followed, I felt lighter than I had in years. The weight of Emily's manipulation, her lies, and her chaos was finally gone. For the first time in a long time, I was living for myself. I poured my energy into rediscovering who I was. I traveled to places I'd always dreamed of, took Max on hikes, picked up new hobbies, and reconnected with the person I'd been before Emily came into my life. As for her, she's living in a small apartment, struggling to manage the responsibilities she once expected others to handle for her. Adam is long gone, and she's left to face the reality of her choices. In the end, I'm grateful. Grateful for the truth, no matter how painful. Grateful for the strength to walk away. And most of all, grateful for the lessons learned. Lessons that will ensure I never give my all to someone who doesn't deserve it again. Now, I'm moving forward with Max by my side and a newfound respect for myself. My life is my own again, and I'll never take that for granted.